Here are the solutions to the Graphing Basic Rationals lab. So I have 5 questions for you to do, and you also need to find the equation of any vertical and horizontal asymptotes, and then of course graph the function. So for the very first one, this is a 2-piece graph and it's already in descriptive form. So you know that the vertical asymptote is going to be x equals 2, because if we insert 2 in for x, we're going to get 0 in the denominator, and that is a problem. We also know our horizontal asymptote, because it's in descriptive form, and it's going to be this -1. So that's y equals -1. I'm going to go ahead and graph this. So that's my vertical asymptote at x equals 2. Also need to draw a horizontal asymptote at y equals -1. And then now I'm going to find 2 points on each side of my vertical asymptote. So I'm going to pick 3, and let's just pick 1. Okay, so that's 1 over 3 minus 2 minus 1, which is 0. And then we have 1 over 1 minus 2 minus 1, which is -1 minus 1, which is -2. Now I'm going to graph those 2 points. So we have a point at 3, 0, and the other point is at 1, -2. And then I know what the shape of this graph is. It's a 2-piece graph. So that means my arms are going to approach the asymptotes but not touch them. For our next one, this is also a 2-piece graph, and it's already in descriptive form for us. Okay, so our vertical asymptote is going to be at x equals -1, because if I had -1, I'm going to get a 0 in the denominator, and that's the problem. Our horizontal asymptote is going to be at y equals -1. Next, I'm going to start graphing. Here's the vertical asymptote. Here's the horizontal asymptote. Now I'm going to find 2 points, one on each side of a vertical asymptote. So I'm going to pick 0. And then I'll also pick -2. Okay, so we're going to have -3 over 1 minus 1, which is -4. Then I'll have -2 plus 1 in the denominator, minus 1. So that is -3 over -1 minus 1, which means you have a +3 minus 1, and that's 2. I'm going to plot those 2 points in. So 0, -4, and -2, 2. I'm going to follow the same shape as a 2-piece graph would look like. So something like this. For our next graph, this is going to be a 3-piece graph. Because we have 2 vertical asymptotes. So our vertical asymptote is going to be at x equals -3 and x equals 2. That's because if we were to insert one of these in for our x, we will get 0 in the denominator. And because I have no number on the outside here, and our power in the numerator is smaller than the power in the denominator, that means we have a horizontal asymptote at y equals 0. And go ahead and draw in those asymptotes. Okay, and then I'm going to find 3 points this time, 1 in each section. So I'll pick 3, 0, and -4. And we're going to find its corresponding y value. So that's going to be 6 times 1, which is -1/6. Then we're going to have 3 times -2, which is +1/6. Then lastly, we're going to have -4 plus 3, which is -1. -4 minus 2 is -6. So overall we get -1/6. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and start graphing these points. Because we have a fraction for our y values, I'm not going to put in the scale and for my y. Instead, I'm going to label my points. I'm going to say that this is 3, -1/6, and that this is 0, 1/6, and then -4, 1/6. I'm going to follow the same shape as a 3-piece graph. So my arms are going to hug the asymptotes. Okay, our next graph is 1/3x². This shape is going to be our volcano graph. And that usually takes on the form of 1/x². So our vertical asymptote is x = 0. Because if x is 0, we're going to have 0 in the denominator. And your horizontal asymptote is just going to be y = 0. I'm going to draw those asymptotes in. Okay, and then I need to find 2 points, which I'm going to find on each side of our vertical asymptote. So I'll do -1 and 1. So that's -1/3 times -1², which is -1/3, and the other one's also going to be -1/3. So I am just going to draw in my point and then label it, so I don't need to write numbers on the axes. And then follow the shape of the volcano graph. And then our very last one. This is going to be an anthill. And our vertical and horizontal asymptote, well, our vertical asymptote, this can never be 0. At least no real number will give us a 0 denominator. So we have a no vertical asymptote, but we still have a horizontal asymptote. And this will be at y = 0. I'm going to find 2 points, and do 0, and maybe just 1. So that's -1/2. And this is -1. 1² is 1 plus 2, which is -1/3. I'm just going to label our points without writing in the numbers for our axes. And then follow the shape of our anthill.